Hello everyone, I'm very happy to be with you today for this webinar. During the next 30 minutes, we are going to talk about the contribution of geomapping in reports and dashboards, coupled with spatial analysis capabilities, and all directly integrated into your Microsoft Power BI environment, allows you to access new insights inaccessible beforehand and answer to a lot of business use cases to facilitate decision making. And I will try to illustrate this specific point through three different business use cases that we will discover together during this presentation. Quick introduction. My name is Vincent de Chandon, and I'm a product marketing manager at Galigeo. I'm glad to be your host today throughout this webinar. And before we start, if you have any questions, you can ask them directly in the chat that you can find in the webinar interface, and I will answer them personally at the end of the presentation. Our agenda for today, we will start by giving some background on what geomapping and spatial analytics mean, explaining why and how these two sides of the same coin can, and I would say must, be integrated into your decision-making processes. Then we will move on to a product demonstration of three use cases I mentioned earlier, one around analytics challenge that can be found in the retail industry, another one around public safety aspects, and the third one will deal with logistics. And finally, we'll conclude with practical aspects, and in particular how to improve, how to upgrade your Power BI environment, or even business intelligence environment more generally with spatial analytics capabilities. Business intelligence and everything that deals with decision making within companies essentially consists of using data to ask the right questions in order to be able to make the best decisions. And the answers to this question can be fully understood only under what is called the 5W axis, which defines 5 main questions that should be asked every time when looking at a business use case. So we have the what, the when, the who, the why, and of course the where. When going more in depth into the capacity the companies have to answer these questions in an efficient way, in an efficient fashion within the decision-making processes, we realize that the where is very often poorly handled during these processes or even completely missing. To take a concrete example, let's say you are about to open a store. You are able to know what you are going to sell, why you are going to sell it, when you are going to open your store and who will be involved in this opening, but you were unable to know where you wanted to open it. It seems completely obvious, and I have deliberately taken a very telling example, but we will see during this presentation that most of business use cases cannot be well covered, that we can't answer them properly without taking the where into account. We will thus see that the where is a fundamental question, a question that is essential to ask ourselves when we analyze data and when we try to answer a business problem. And it is this process, this ability to use, process and analyze data from a cartographic perspective, from a spatial dimension, that we call location intelligence. You may not realize it, but we use maps in the sense of cartographic representations every day. For example, on the left, I have a list of cities in the US with their respective weather forecast. By looking at this table, are you able to quickly get a general idea of the weather in the US? Or even if we push the reasoning further, would you be able to make a decision about the states you are going to go to spend your next holidays? But if we represent the same data spatially, it is immediately obvious. You immediately have the ability to understand what's going on, to quickly detect the major trends, to find insights which didn't appear until you looked at this data from a cartographic perspective. Another example, you want to order a cab. On the left, you have a traditional booking applications, and on the right, another type application which shows you in real time the position of available cabs near your locations, and which also indicates the current path is taken by the cab you have booked. For the same price, which app are you going to use? And once again, these examples from everyday's life, which may seem trivial, illustrate perfectly the power of maps in its ability to communicate information, ideas, messages in a clear and limpid way. However, we have to note that when in the professional world, this cartographic dimension, this spatial dimension contained in the data, is very often neglected, whereas we should see it as a real goldmine that just needs to be exploited. Why then is this where dimension so important, too often missing from decision-making processes? Well, because there is a persistent and preconceived idea that everything related to maps is complex to apprehend. This may have been true 10 years ago, but today, technological progress of softwares have been able to abstract all the aspects seen as complex for maps, letting non-expert users focus on the value they can get from it. Because the so-called geographic data, for example, a point of interest, a geographic division, the sections of a road, are often stored and exploited aside from the other data of the company. And so the people in charge of producing analysis reports, analysis dashboards, on the business data, they do not have access to the geographic data most of the time. It is therefore this, what we call siloed data management, that needs to be overcome to reconcile business data and geographic data. And because the software used in decision making, e.g. BI software, has most of the time a very basic, very simplistic And because the software used for decision making, e.g. BI software, has most of the time a very basic, very simplistic native ability to enter the where dimension. So people who want to be able to create maps with because the software used for decision making, e.g. BI softwares, has most of the time a very basic, very simplistic native ability to enter the where dimension. Because the software used for decision making, e.g. BI softwares, has most of the time a very basic, very simplistic native ability to enter the where dimension. So people who want to be able to create maps with their data, to perform spatial analysis, experience a rooftop effect very quickly and can't properly do their business analysis. Unfortunately, today there are solutions to these challenges, and that's why we are together at this webinar. Why is it so important to integrate location intelligence into your decision-making processes? Because you will be able to discover new insight, inaccessible otherwise than by leveraging the spatial dimension of your data, as we have already seen some examples in the previous slides. You will be able to find correlations by overlaying different data that have no other relationship with each other apart from their implicit location. The best example to illustrate that is given by the father of location intelligence, even if he wasn't aware of it, the Dr. Jon Snow, that has nothing to do with Game of Thrones, and who managed to demonstrate at the end of the 19th century a correlation between people dying of cholera and the presence of whales near areas with the highest mortality rate. Where it happened, the whales were indeed contaminated with cholera. And it is Jon Snow maps, here reproduced on a computer, that we currently see on this slide. Maps embedded within reports and dashboards will also promote the adoption of these reports and dashboards, because people are used to see maps. They easily understand what they represent. And you will be able to make better decisions because you will be able to answer to the 5 W's mentioned during the introductions. And so these better decisions will result in a greater operational efficiency for the company. After this quite complete introduction, we will now move on to the 3 business use cases, which will be illustrated here directly by product demonstrations through cartographic dashboards and reports that have been designed with Power BI. We are back in my Power BI desktop environment. You see that I have a report that is already opened. And so we are putting ourselves in the shoes of a business analyst working for a retailer. And in this case, the retailer owns different restaurants. So what we have right here on the left of the report are different KPIs, such as the number of households, the market potential for the whole area that you see on the map, which corresponds to the north of France, as well as other KPIs such as the average revenue by households, etc. And what you have on the right is a map that is representing the different restaurants as well as different competitors on the north of France. If I zoom in a bit, you can recognize different logos, such as McDonald's, you have Subway, you have Burger King, as well as different other fast food companies. And what we are going to try to do right now is to perform a performance analysis of the different restaurants. And here we are going to focus on McDonald's. You see that below the different restaurants on the map, we have also different polygons that represent living areas. And the KPI that is displayed on top of it is the market potential of each areas. Meaning that for each areas where we have many restaurants, we know the market potential, so how the people that live here will spend for 1 year in total in this specific area. I can zoom in on the specific area. So there is a big city in France, and so you see this is why there is a lot of restaurants, McDonald's, etc. If I click on the area, I get a lot of different KPIs. All of these KPIs, they come directly from Power BI. So there I have the households, I have the market potential, etc. And what is interesting is that, I don't know if you noticed that, but as I clicked, the KPIs on the left get refreshed. So the map is interacting with the rest of the reports. And if you select something on the map, then you see the results of your filter that you have done on the map on the other charts and graphics of the reports, and vice versa. So the map there is a real component of the reports. It's not something that is aside, and it's interacting fully like any other graphics would do. I can switch page, and now I'm going to focus on a specific area. So you see that now I still have the living area, but I have a filter on the top that let me select exactly the living area I want. And for example, if I select another one, let's pick, for example, this one, which is called Burke. Then you see that the map has been refreshed with the filter that I have selected. And now I have this living area, which there is displayed and segmented by different cities in France. And I have the same, I would say, indicator displayed on the cities, which is the market potential. So I see that I have 2 McDonald's in this area. And I can see for each city, which is my market potential. And it can give me a good indication if my McDonald's is well positioned or not, or if there is a space to open a new McDonald's in this area. If I zoom in, we can see that I access more and more granularity. So this is the area there which I have a lot of market potential. I can click, and the same there, I have access to all the different KPIs. So some of them are in French right now, and some of them has been anonymized. But I have, for example, the number of population living in the city. I have the population segmented by age, the annual revenue, the market potential, etc., etc. So you have access of a lot of indicators that are automatically brought directly there by the map when I click on it. And now if I switch to my last page, I can do the same, but now I have a view restaurant by restaurant. So the same, I have a filter on top. I can choose what I want, so I will keep the one that is currently opened. You see that they have different logos that tell me the competitors in the area. So I have 5 McDonald's in the area, 1 Burger King, etc. I can zoom in exactly like I've did already. And now you have a more granular view than the cities. This is sub-cities in France. And what has been calculated here is the area, the drive time area around the McDonald's. And so you see the different indicators telling me, I would say, if I start from a McDonald's and I drive 5 minutes, here is the potential at the 5-minute drive time. The same for 10 minutes drive time, etc., etc. And this possibility of accessing such features and such KPIs is directly done by the map. And we are going to see right now how I did it. Let's switch the base map to access more granularity when we are reaching the street levels. And let's say that I have no restaurants there. And I want to to see if, I would say, opening a new restaurant at this position would be worth. So the first thing I can do so is to try to get an idea of the footfall. So the number of persons that are passing by foot in front of my restaurant. And I can do that really easily using the footfall feature in Galigeo. I just have to click on it. There, I'm just going to select the restaurants, and technically speaking, I can select literally what I want, even if there is no restaurant, any addresses. And you see that I have the footfall that has been calculated. And what I get here is that I have 1,300,000 people that are passing by my restaurant every year, with an indication on which time of the day there is, I would say, more traffic. And you see that it's accessible only with one click. So I just selected my address, and I get the result of the number of people passing by. And what you see on the map there are indications if in my area is there, I would say, any other hot places that also drives a lot of traffic. And it can help me to understand if the McDonald's there, let's suppose that it's not open. I'm trying to open a McDonald's at this position. Will it be in a good position to, I would say, to drive traffic or not? And so everything is calculated on the fly directly there by the map. And so I could do that on another addresses and try to compare the two and see which position is the best for me, which location is the best for me to open my new McDonald's. And now if I open my map in full screen, I want to show you how you can calculate drive time areas. So what we call catchment areas. So I have a view there with absolutely, I would say, no restaurants and just different indications about there the number of people between 18 and 24 years old. And I want to show you, so just beforehand I calculated the footfall, and now I really want to calculate the catchment areas and get, I would say, insights about the local context and associated KPIs that I can get from it. So there I'm just going to navigate into the different menus, choose an addresses again. Let's pick, let's say, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and 15 minutes drive time area. So there you have the choices between by car, by foot, by bike. I just calculated it, and so you see my drive time areas that has been calculated. That means that regarding the different color coding, I can reach this area in 5, 10, or 15 minutes by car. And so I'm deciding that this will be the catchment areas for my new restaurant. And so I can get the different KPIs from it. And there I've only selected the number of persons between 18 and 24 years old because it's my main target. But of course, I could have many other KPIs that would be also automatically aggregated there by the map, telling me which is the market potential for this area. So you see that you have access to business features that are already out of the box that can help you go beyond visualization and really start doing analysis and interact with the rest of the reports. Let's move on to the second demonstrations. This one will take place in Florida, US, and we will talk about public safety use cases. In the previous demonstration, I've showcased already built reports. And so in this one, I want to start from scratch and show you guys how easy it is to create a map in Power BI with Galigeo. So I have my map that is already placed, blank map, and I already have some data that has been binded to it. What we can notice is that we have longitude and latitude for each crime, so it's crime data. And we have many other indicators, such as the date, the type of crime, and many other indicators that we're not going to use. And to place this longitude and latitude in the map, I'm just going to go on the data panel. What you can see here is that we have the same data that the one we have in Power BI. And what I have to do is just select the indicator that I want to place on the map. And in my case, it's not a numerical one, it's alphanumerical, it's the type. I want to be able to segment the different crimes on the map by type. And so I just need to drag and drop this indicator on the map. The map will ask me which type of representation I want to create. I just drag and drop, and automatically I see my crimes appearing. And you see on the legend there is a color coding that is corresponding to the different types of crime that I have in my data in this case. What you can notice as well is that on the east of Florida, there is a lot of crimes that are overlapping each other. And it's really hard to see if there is a trend amongst these different data. So what I can do is just to go here and activate the heat map. And so automatically, it's really easier to understand if there is a trend. As you can see on the map, the red area corresponds to, I would say, hotter areas, meaning that there have been more crimes in these areas. And playing a bit with the granularity, as I'm zooming in, I can see the different areas. And so you see, it is as easy as doing one click in order to get this heat map working on. And if you remember what I said in the beginning, we also have the date for each crime. And from this date, I have extracted the months directly in Power BI. And so Power BI is recognizing this, let's say, new measure as a date. And I can use this new measure, this date, in order to animate using a time series feature in Galigeo to see how the crimes has evolved across time. So let me switch to full screen. It will be for you easier to see. And now I can go into my motion maps panel. I select the dataset. So here I only have one. It's the Power BI one. And I'm going to select the months. Hit the create button. And you see that now I have a slider appearing at the bottom. And so the data are going to September of last year to July of this year. And now I can start the animation and see how the crimes has evolved across time. Let me just zoom a bit, adjust the granularity so we can really see how it's going to evolve. And now let's play the animation. And so we can see, here we see months after months where the crimes have happened. And there we would be able to detect automatically if there is a trend or not. For example, if you are looking at carjacking and these kind of crimes, you can try to detect if there is a trend, for example, and if there is like thieves that are going from places to another one day after day. And these kind of features, such as time series, that you can activate in one click in Galigeo, can help you get the trend across time and space of any data that you want to take a look at. I have now opened a report that is showcasing a logistic sample use case. Here, what do I have? I have multiple exchanges of flows of goods between different locations across the world. And what I want to do is create a what-if scenario. For example, if I have one plant or one wholesaler that is down, for some reason, I don't know, there have been an earthquake, I want to know how it's going to impact the different flows of shipments that I'm managing every day. So the first thing I can see here is that I have multiple flows, and it's really hard to understand the sense of the flows. Are they going east to west or west to east? Is this going from plant A to wholesaler B or the way around? And what I can do is activate the animated flows option directly in Galigeo. So it's just a matter of pressing one button, and now I have animated flows coming in. And so you see that now it's really clear to understand the direction that the shipments are taking between the different locations before, I would say, reaching their final destination. So this feature is out of the box. I just have to click one button and automatically I see the direction of the flows. And now what I can do is to create my what if scenario, just activate a filter directly on the map that I have pre-configured. On this filter here, I have all the different origin from where the shipments are going in. And what I can do is just remove one of them. For example, here, if you locate the one that is in Tokyo, and if I remove the one in Tokyo, and I click on apply, you see that some flows have disappeared. And so that means that, for example, now the plant that is in Taiwan is going to have to handle all the shipments to Australia and to Poland. Because if you see it a bit clearer here, Poland is the main entries for Europe from everything coming from the Asia continent. And so that means that now that I don't have the Tokyo plant available, everything has to go from Taiwan. If I set back Tokyo, you are going to see that Tokyo was sending Australia, was sending to Riyadh as well, and was sending to Warsaw in Poland. And so just by activating this filter, I can see how my flows are going to be impacted. And there I don't have, I would say, really a lot of metrics to calculate. Like there I only have the volume of flows. But for example, if I ask an information about the different type of materials that are exchanging between platforms, then I could know that if I remove Tokyo, this kind of material is not going to be available at all because it's not available in Taiwan. And so I would say the whole chain of flows would be completely broken in the map. So you see that just with this kind of visual, of geomapping visual, you have a clear and better view about what is going to happen, about what is happening first, of course, and also what is going to happen if you have these flows that is going down for some reason, etc. And of course, there I have a short time for the demonstration, but I could go further and, for example, import using NOAA services, the different earthquake updated every day, and to see, for example, I have an earthquake that is going to impact one of my plant of one of my wholesaler during the incoming days because there have been an earthquake near the location. This is also something that I could do, but this would be for a further demonstration. Okay, that will be it for the demonstrations, guy. I hope you enjoyed it, and now we are going back to the slides in a few moments. Now that we have seen how we can benefit from location intelligence, we will now try quickly to translate these benefits into the major features that we should expect from a location intelligence software. The capacity to crunch and merge on the fly data from different sources. An ability to manipulate this data spatially, to select them according several proximity relationships, and to filter and extract them. An ability to segment the data both spatially and temporally. An ability to visualize the data in a precise and personalized way in order to help the map to easily communicate its main ideas and information. An ability to configure and customize not the map, but the software itself, so it matches exactly with the business needs of the company. And finally, an ability to easily collaborate and share the insights and trends highlighted using maps and spatial analytics. As you have also been able to see, the main element of whole analysis is obviously data. Without data, there is no location intelligence. And it is precisely the ability to combine geographic data, such as an administrative division, a region, a county, with business data, such as social benefits per municipality, for instance, and with contextual data, such as population of number of households, that makes location intelligence so interesting, so powerful in terms of analytical capability, because it has the ability to unveil correlations between heterogeneous data that could not be combined in another way than through geomapping. And this is for all these reasons that we have created Galigeo, a location intelligence solution capable of integrating directly within Microsoft Power BI you already have in place to enable you to fully address the 5W for real by providing you with the right business, geographic, and contextual data that you will be able to visualize, analyze, process, correlate, share, and so on. Galigeo gives you access to a built-in catalog of indicators, data, and geodata, while being able to centralize all of this data into a single place. And to make advantage of this data, to find new insights, You can access a set of business features that will allow you to concretely answer to business use cases, as we have seen during the demonstrations, with, for example, catchment area calculation or drive time. The Galigeo software is available in many languages, as you can see on the slides, so it covers, I would say, the major languages that we are experiencing in business. This webinar was intended to demonstrate the use of spatial analytics and geomapping within Power BI, but very often you are not using a single BI solution. And I think it's important to mention that Galigeo also integrates with other BI solutions, such as SAP BI, IBM Cognos, ClickSense, WebFocus, Spotfire, and so on. And you can also leverage an API, which allows you to integrate all Galigeo technology wherever you want, on a website, in a portal, in an in-house tool, with almost no coding required. And it even works independently with our Galigeo Cloud solution. In terms of integration, Galigeo can of course plug itself with SRI, ArcGIS systems, or any GIS server that support OGC standards. And if you don't have such system in place, no problem. Galigeo also supports flat file, like shapefile, GeoJSON, etc. This allows you to enhance the value of any data from any sources with your decision-making environment. We are the world leader in location intelligence field, with more than 300 customers worldwide, from which you can see a few logos on the right of the slides. Our solution integrates seamlessly with both Power BI desktop and online. All the features you need are brought to the users in a self-service fashion, without the need to be a geomapping nor a GIS expert, so you can focus on the value and not the configuration. And our solution can be deployed in a few minutes, both on-premise and in the cloud, and within a single day you can already have an operational solution ready to use. This allows you to get quick return on investment, thanks to the better decision you will make and the performance gain you will make as well. By and large, what I always say, don't take my word for it. Come and try our solution by yourself. You can get a 30-day free trial on our website, galigeo.com, or directly send me an email and I will redirect you to the solution that fits your needs. And for all the people that register to this webinar, you will also benefit from a free onboarding session, so you can discover all the value of the tool together with one of our experts, so really do not hesitate. Well, the time is quite running out. As a reminder, there is still time to ask all of the questions you have in mind using the question tabs. I see you asked a lot of questions already. Thank you for that, that's great. I'll quickly take a few questions. Some have been asked several times, so I'll deal with them first. And for all those that I don't have time to address now, I'll get back to you by email directly after this webinar. So first question, does Galigeo require a Power BI Premier license? Very good question. It is true that this point was not clearly mentioned during the presentation, and the answer is no. Galigeo for Power BI works fine whether you have a premium, pro, or even a free license of Power BI. So you don't have to worry about that. And just as a reminder, it works as well in both desktop and cloud mode. Another question. Hello, I would have liked to have more detailed comparison with native mapping solutions like S3. So very good question. It's true that I've talked in a previous slide how and why Galigeo was different, without going into precise and comparative details with what already exists in terms of geomapping for Power BI. So to sum that up simply, where the other geomapping extensions are doing what I pejoratively call map coloring, Galigeo offers real business-oriented features, as we have been able to see some of them during the webinar, for example, catchment area calculation or animated flows. And these features are of course coupled with ready-to-use contextual data to enrich your analysis, as well as of course all the core options to spatially represent the data, heat map, choropleth, cluster, etc., all available out of the box without the need to code or easily configure the solution beforehand. And we also have a team of dedicated experts in different continents ready to help you if needed. Because let's be honest, if you have a problem with Azure Maps or SRI and try to contact the support team regarding these, well, good luck solving it. And with that, I see I went over the initial allocated time for this webinar a little bit. So I suggest we stop here for questions and now conclude this webinar with which has been really rich in terms of information. If you have any questions, need additional information, or simply want to talk about your upcoming project, you have our contacts here. All the questions I've not been able to cover live, as I've mentioned already, I'm getting back to you by mail directly. And right after the webinar will end, you will see a new tab opening in your browser, asking you for your feedback regarding this webinar. So do not hesitate to give your feedback. It is really valuable to help us improve for our future contents. And on that note, thank you for being here with me today. I wish you a very nice day. See you soon. Bye, guys.